Just steps from where Charles Manson and his cult of killers slaughtered Sharon Tate and her friends right behind those gates. It's inside these doors where paranormal activity has been occurring for over 2 decades. You're gonna see some things, you're gonna hear some things, and you damn well might feel some things that you're not expecting.
Everything that you started last night with you yesterday continued through the night and through the days. And I said, oh my God, this has nothing to do with the Tate murders. I can clear the house out, but in 5 minutes, she said, your house will have a whole new set of spirits in there. You have more to fear from the living than you do the dead.
All right, just steps from where Charles Manson and his cult of killers slaughtered Sharon Tate and her friends right behind those gates here on Cielo Drive stands a house that is filled with spirits that some say are from that night. We are heading into the home of David Oman, which he built with his father over 20 years ago, and he's lived here for over 2 decades. It's inside these doors where paranormal activity has been occurring for over 2 decades. You're gonna see some of it, you're gonna hear all about it, and brace yourself, because this is the end of the road, the end of Cielo Drive, where it all happened right over there. We're concluding our series on the Manson killings right here on Tom Zenner Scandal. Brace yourself for what we're gonna show you inside today. All right, welcome everybody. I'm Tom Zenner Scandal YouTube channel, host of One Degree of Scandalous with the one and only Kato Kaelin. And Kato, let me tell everybody that this is gonna be an episode they're gonna remember for a very long time. They're gonna share it. This is an iconic house we are in today. It's our pleasure to bring it to you. We've had a lot of requests that we come here, and here we are. And I promise you, you're gonna see some things, you're gonna hear some things, and you damn well might feel some things that you're not expected. We are in the Oman house. Kato, our guest, the one and only David Oman, proprietor, builder of this home, and a man who's lived with what's gone on here for over 20 years.
Meeting David Oman, everybody thinks of the Oman, it's like the perfect house for it. I actually checked David's scalp for 3 6s, but he had 2 6s and a 9. So he's okay. he's okay with us. But what a name to have this house. And
yeah,
we're on.
Well, of course, we're on Cielo Drive, right? Everybody knows this. If you're a true crime fan, if you're a pop culture enthusiast, you know where we're at. We're on Cielo Drive. We were here for the Manson tour not that long ago. This lot stood 150 yards, less than that, probably 150 feet from the gate now that goes into the Tate Polanski property. And we're going to know all about the backstory of this house. But Kato, what I want to start with is, you've done a ton of tours, David. You've had a lot of people come in this house. We walk in today, and there's something that we felt palpable immediately. I was here yesterday. You were feeling something from what happened last night. But describe when you have the K train rolling in here for the first time. You had met me yesterday. You knew what we were going to do, but you've had this house a long time. There's a lot of paranormal activity that has been documented here. But what did you feel today when we walked in?
Today, before you guys even got here, when Jesus got here, we were going through the place, and it just felt, you could just feel there was a palpable energy. And what's interesting is after you came by last night, or yesterday, I had some people that came by last night. And I have to say this, and I'm not going to make a prejudiced statement, but when you came here yesterday, it almost felt like you put a key into a lock and you opened the door, and everything that you started last night with you yesterday continued through the night and through the days, still today. I've never seen the house so active as we did last night. At like 11 o'clock, they were going through the house, and we captured some voices that we didn't hear, but upon review, we were going, who's the person whispering? And they were saying, there was 4 of us, and I said, it wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me, and it was like, it was clear, which I'm going to share with you today. And then when Kato and I went downstairs, the energy was just thickening. As Kato mentioned, what did you say you felt like the house was charged, or?
Well, a few things. When I walked in the hallways, I felt like the walls were closing in on me. It gives you a very claustrophobic feeling. And so that's what I was feeling. And it also reminded me of being in a basement in Wisconsin. It has when you're a kid, you don't want to go to the basement. Right. It just has, the whole word basement gives you that evil, it's like, no, you're going to the basement. So that's what I felt, because like you said, this is like, for me, this level is like very high energy, good, everything feels good. Right. Going down, it's kind of like going 6 feet under. You're going lower and lower. And I said, do you live here solo? I wasn't moving in. I said, David, you live here solo? It's like, yeah, Kato, don't need a house. No, I don't want to move in. I'm scared already. I don't know if I want you as a roommate. And by the way, you never won the Heisman. Anyways, David, so I was thinking, what I was thinking is this level I like, but definitely there's a spooky feeling. And I know you've been on these shows of ghost hunters and all the things with the spirits that are here. 100% you can feel an energy that's in here. Are they good spirits, bads? I don't know yet.
And then David, let me follow that up for our audience, because this is going to give you chills like it gave me chills probably about 35 minutes ago. I know Kato and David can describe their feeling too. David, you have no reason to make crap up. I mean, you're a celebrity because of this house. You've embraced it. You didn't build this house so you could be next to that, right? It happened to be a great deal. The lot, your dad's a builder. You built this with your own hands. You embraced everything about the history here. You told me, and I 100% believe you, because I've seen a lot of your work, why the hell would you make something up or say something's different now? But you did. And I want you to tell Kato what kind of you were hearing last night with some of those messages. And then Kato, you tell our audience and you tell David what's significant about today.
Okay.
All right. Last night, we were doing something that paranormal investigators use as a technique to see if they can connect with the spirits. It's called the Estes method. It's where the one individual basically goes into another room. They put on sound canceling headphones, wrap themselves with some kind of gauze or something over their eyes so they can't see, and deprive them of any type of visual sensations. They go into the room. There's another person in another room that's asking questions. The person that's in the room that's isolated with the headphones on is listening to a spirit box, which is basically a receiver, a radio receiver that basically scans the frequencies and intermittently picks out words that they'll hear. The other person's in the guest bedroom. They're out in the theater room talking and asking questions. And I'm watching the footage, and the kid keeps on saying, I guess you call it the individual, the subject, is saying words like knife, pressure, stabbing, blood, hysterics. And I'm like, and they could, it's talking about Sharon Tate. And I'm going, no. I'm not hearing key words like gunshots. I'm not hearing the other words that I've heard in other experiences with people here investigating, where they say, I'm running away, fleeing, and all these different words that connect to the scenario of what happened to the Tate murders. All of a sudden I hear, oh my God, it has nothing to do with the Tate murders. It comes back to your visit earlier in the afternoon. And I said, wait a second. Knife, pressure, slashing, blood, this and that. And I said, oh my God. And I went into the guys, and I said, guys, I think your subject is picking up on the O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown Simpson murders. And I said, oh my God, this has nothing to do with the Tate murders, because usually sometimes you pick up on that energy. When you guys came here today, I mentioned that to you, and you said, oh, that's interesting, that's crazy. And then Kato said,
well, you're saying, talking about what you just said, and I said, well, David, this will probably freak you out. Today's taping is Nicole's birthday. And then it all made sense to you. Yeah. And that was, I've never met David before, and I said, this will really freak you out, but today is the Nicole Brown Simpson's birthday.
None of this was planned. None of this wasn't part of our schedule to come here on Nicole. I didn't even know it was her birthday. Yeah. But I walked in here and I even sensed a different energy from you, because you do this all the time, right? And you can't make it up. You can't say, spirits, come alive today. Give me some message. Jay Sebring, speak to me. You can't do that, right? It either happens or it doesn't. But you were kind of like, some crazy shit went down last night.
Oh, yeah.
And then you started connecting the dots. What's your thought when you consider what Kato told you, the significance of today and what happened last night?
Well, I'll go back one step further. Remember, you sent me the email on Saturday, And I happen to, usually I don't look at my emails on Saturdays until the afternoon, late in the afternoon. And for some reason I was like, no, there's an email. I was like, oh, and I said, why don't you guys, and I said, forget sending him an email, call him up. So I called you up and I said, why don't you, and I pitched you, why don't you guys do the show here instead of the studio and me coming in? And you said, yeah, we can do that. And we went through the motions and we put it all together. And it happened like this. Usually in production, as you know, it's Saturday, we're reaching out, we'll be there in 2 weeks. Yeah. It never happens like this, and bang, 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 to the point where everything literally lined up in a way that it's like, okay, that's just not making any sense, but it makes sense. And it's weird to hear that. Today happens to be Nicole Brown Simpson's birthday. I'm a little bit curious. I don't want to say scared, concerned, or shocked, but I'm just like going, It's just like, there are no such things as coincidences. And that's what I was just hearing. Is like, this isn't a coincidence. This happened as it's supposed to unfold and happen. So I find it really strange and bizarre in a sense. And as far as the house is concerned, I'm not one that likes to fake anything. I can't stand it. When I watch videos and I go, that's fake, next. And people go, why is that? I said, because once you lose your credibility, and you know this, you can never regain your credibility. You have it, and if you lose it, it's never coming back. So why would I allow myself to screw up and askew my own story by changing the story from year to year to year to year to make it more sensationalistic to sell to an audience? I don't do that. I'm just a truth seeker that wants to share the truth. I'm not making money on this, let's be honest. Having a haunted house, if you're not a commercial operation and you actually live in it, is not a place you want people to just come in every minute of the day, every day of the week, and expose yourself to that kind of, as you say, ridicule. So when I have the events, there's once in a while, we used to do them more, but I maybe a couple times a year, and it doesn't affect me. I'm not afraid of ghosts because, as I said to you, and I said to you, you have more to fear from the living than you do the dead. And that's it. That's all I live on the pretense of. So when people go, are you scared? And Kate goes, you live here by yourself? It's like, yeah. You're not afraid? It's like, no, of what? Ghosts aren't trying to make you go, I want you to come with me to the other side. It's like, they know better. They're just coming to say hi. Right. Nice to see you.
And this all happened, I could throw a football to the gate, almost. I mean, it literally, there's just something about this plot of land, which was just a lot. And Kato, I don't know if David knows this, but, you were very, very close with Nicole. This wasn't an acquaintance. This was a close friend. It wasn't OJ who you were friends with beforehand. And you put all this into this mix with the history of the house, with what is happening here that's been identified and is reality. Kato and I don't do BS. Not me anyway. I don't do bullshit like content things. It's all real, and that's why our audience loves us. But Kato, how did it make you feel knowing that? And then when you walked around the house and started feeling some of this, and we're going to take people on a tour in a little bit later in this episode.
Well, when we did the original episode, we did a tour of this Cello Drive. I knew we were going to come back for some reason. I knew it. There's a woman up here who kind of kicked us out. Said no filming here. So I just said, you know what? I said honestly, I'm not making this up. I could sense. It sounds BSy, but I could sense that. I said, we're coming back up here for some reason. And then when Tom told me that we're going to do the show up here, I was like, okay, I'm going to check on David. So I watched some stuff, and I was like, I can't wait to meet this guy. He says, he says that one day he was sleeping, and next to his bed he saw a figure that was Jay Sebring, and I was wondering why Jay didn't do your hair, by the way. Anyways, I didn't know of anything. I was just saying, hey Jay, do me a favor. I'm kidding. It looks great. No, but I totally
mess him up, please. He needs a little upbringing.
I need hair. I need my hair done too. But I was thinking that I can relate to that because, of course, I have nightmares, or not even nightmares, just thoughts of that. So coming here. You mentioned Nicole and her birthday. I think it's because of what David said before. It makes it even more of an impact that this was the day that we were supposed to film here, and you can't explain it. And it's all by chance. It's not planned. It just happened to be today.
Fell right into place, which is so strange because after being here for this many years and having people and producers saying we want to do a show there. And then when do you want to shoot? Oh, in 2 months. But we're calling you now to set it up. I'm like, yeah, that's usual. But when, like I said, when I spoke to you on the phone, it was like, boom. Well, I said, I didn't have to convince you as much as I had to show you the possibility of and the potential of doing the show here versus the studio, because it becomes different. It's outside the box. You're not limited to the usual show at the studio. No, we're taking this on a field trip and we're coming here. And this is what we're going to experience. And again, I have to say thank you for the opportunity, because whatever it was that you brought here yesterday, that's still here today, had a great deal of impact upon last night's visit. And these guys were like so tickled when the stuff was being reviewed, and they're going, who the hell is that? And going, I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because like I said, I researched and I saw so many TV shows have done
About that.
stories. This, how many people say this is just BS?
Yeah.
I mean, do the guys that do the show, people are going, let's TV, they're setting that up. And then, you showed me something where there's a piece of 10 block wood that moved. All these things that we'll get into later. But how do you handle it? It's like, do you say to people, well, you know what? I live here. I know what happens. To the naysayers.
That's a good question. What do I say to them? I basically say, if you don't like the story, fine. You can take it or leave it. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just sharing my story. You take it, you don't take it. You don't believe it, you don't. It doesn't matter. However, when they come and attack me and say that I'm exploiting the Sharon Tate murders, and it's like, well, that would be great, except for the fact that I am not making any money on this. I've made a movie. I made a movie a number of years ago. I invested $500,000 of my own money. I haven't sold it yet, so I still don't understand the connection between the statement of you're making money on this and the fact that it doesn't match, because they're not connecting, because it's not true. I share the experiences with people because I want people to understand that it's not a scary situation to see an apparition. To me, it's like, well, I always was scared by the dark. But after a while, I started to realize that the fears were based on irrational fears that were based upon irrational beliefs that I had that were not accurate. By the way, I hate to say it, but if you haven't noticed, we've had a gosh darn raven literally flying in front of the window. And there he goes. He's coming around to visit. So there's a sign from... Look at that, guys. Did you see that? Yeah.
A big black raven is just circling.
I have stories about the crow with Brandon Lee, who I got to... Sophie Chaness is my dear, dear friend. She played... Well, won't you know, she was the love interest, fiance who gets married and gets killed, the whole protagonist of the film. But she's also my friend, and she had stories about...
Brandon. Oh, he was very much spiritual, Brandon. His father was hugely...
Oh, yeah, that's, well, Kato.
Son of a bitch had to say that. You just couldn't leave it alone. He had to break up the series and say, I'm not going to say that. You're going to serious. I'm going to go Kato.
I brought up something earlier, this is when I got here. I said, do not forget to ask you this question, and Tom too. Sharon Tate with Playboy.
Yeah.
And Playboy is sort of this mysterious vibe, because I immediately also think of Dorothy Stratton in Star 80. And it's just, what is it? You know, Peter Bogdanovich had tried to save her life, and then she was killed by Paul Schneider of Dorothy Stratton. But there's this thing with almost identical looking. There's a thing about blonde, and I don't know what it is, but the crimes were horrendous crimes. And but it's got that, there's a tie-in to all.
There's a connection,
You know, it's crazy when I sit here, like, you have amazing views. You go here, you got a straight shot of downtown LA. Obviously, the end of Cielo Drive is right over there where the new gate is. That's why the address changed, is because they moved the gate up, and that was on a different, they didn't change it because of the history.
No.
The actual address changed. You know, behind you is the movie poster, House at the End of the Drive, which you obviously produced. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your book. Here's what I want to ask you, David, because you grew up in Bel Air, right? Your dad's a builder, an architect, and it was your dream to build your own house.
Yeah,
so you were looking for a plot of land, and you got a hell of a deal, $40,000.
The story was my father found the thing. It was a Sunday morning, late November 1998, 8 in the morning, Sunday. David, get up. I'm like, what? Huh? Because I found a lot. It's in the LA Times classified section. It's $40,000. It's in Beverly Hills. And I'm like, still halfway asleep, going, Dad, it says 40K, doesn't it? He goes, yeah. He goes, it's a typo. I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a lot in Beverly Hills at $40,000. He goes, shut up and get your ass up and go meet me here and trust me. I was like, all right. So I drive up here, 8:30. I got here with my 2 dogs. I come out and I'm looking down the street and I'm going, oh my God, that's where the Tate murders took place. And I'm like, I haven't been here since high school.
It didn't even trigger with you when you heard Cielo Drive?
He didn't, no, because again, you got to remember 1998, Sharon Tate had been passed away for what, almost 29 years.
Yeah.
And again, the interest and the identification of the name Cielo Drive and Sharon Tate was not like it is today. We now have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as you had mentioned, Kato, and it's brought it back to the attention of the notoriety of the public. Back in 1998, it was like it was like just a tidbit of a thought. I didn't connect it.
Yeah, true crime wasn't a thing back then like it is now.
Not like it is now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and he drives up, and I'm like, my dad comes out of the car. He's 80 years old. He goes, he's pissing. My dad's an 60-year-old in an 80-year-old body, but he looks like he's 60. He goes, come on, what do you think? And I said, Dad, that's where the Tate murders took place. He goes, I don't give a shit about the Tate murders. I'm looking at this piece of real estate. What do you think of the lot? And I go, oh. I said, well, it's a pretty steep lot. I said, it looks like somebody started construction because there was rebar. And he goes, we're going to buy this for $40,000. I'm going, yeah, right. Turns out we ended up buying the lot and we built the house. 4 years later, I moved in 2002. And stuff was happening during construction, which I didn't mention to you.
Okay.
But my contract laborer had an experience on the 3rd floor where we were. It was 2000, I think it was like summer of 2000. He was down there working and he hears voices and footsteps from the top floor. So he comes upstairs looking around. He sees there's no one here. He goes outside, not a car. I said, 6 o'clock in the summer, no one's here. The place is dead empty. He goes, yeah. He goes, but I heard the footsteps and I heard the voices. So I go back downstairs to start working. 5 minutes later, from this floor, voices and footsteps. Comes upstairs with a hammer, starts looking around, sees nothing. He goes, that's it. I'm packing my bags, I'm getting out. Goes back downstairs, starts packing his bags, and he hears footsteps coming down the spiral staircase, getting louder and louder, till they got to the landing at the bottom, which at the time was open. He says he ran out, looked at the bottom of the landing, sees nothing, and then it happens. He says this ice-cold breeze, almost like a 2-inch wide band of ice, comes slowly across the back of his neck, below his hairline, above his shoulder blades. He said, my whole body stood straight up erect, and I said, dos míos, yeah, my boy, which translates from Spanish means, oh my God, I'm leaving. He didn't come back for 6 weeks.
Whoa.
And I said, why didn't you come back? Because I told the guys I was working in taking care of my mother in El Salvador that was sick. I was actually working other job sites. I said, why'd you come back? He said, because I didn't get paid for the prior 3 weeks. So I said, oh, and I said, you were putting in the tiles in the master bathroom. He goes, yeah. He goes, but I didn't get to it. He said, yeah, I did it because I got so tired of waiting for him that the tiles are not askew. And I go, oh my God. So that's the story of...
Well, that scene is in the house at the end of the drive with one of my favorite actors, Lance Henriksen, who he makes a great ghost, by the way. He's great, and that scene played out, and I
that's the real life. Yeah, that's real.
Can I give you my theory on something here, David?
Yeah,
because what is happening here is real. What has happened, I think it's because David has no ulterior motives, no agenda. This is a house he built, he fell in love with. It's his home. No plan on leaving, right? And what happened over there happened. It's reality. Somehow these spirits have arrived here. They're here. They're legit.
Did you guys hear the little
I heard a little flicker,
a bang on that wall, and I'm thinking, what the hell was that? There's nothing there. There's nothing on the roof. And I just heard that. It was like it drew my attention right to there as you're saying.
It's almost like it knows the question I'm going to ask. I mean, I don't know, but this is what I'm really curious about. Because, Kato, I believe what happened, this shit is real, what's going on in this house, okay? Number one. And then you go, why? Because the killers walked right past your house when they went to butcher Sharon Tate and the others in that home in August of 1969. They walked right by here. We're right outside his front door. Where it is now, boom, they're walking there. They're taking those steps. This was an empty lot. My thought is, could there have been a weapon that was discarded here? Or maybe after they cut the phone lines and they came back and moved the cars or whatever they did, these two freaks, smoked a joint, hit some LSD here, had sex here. I don't know.
On the hillside,
but there's something that tells me something about this specific plot of yours carried the footsteps of these killers in some way.
The residual energy.
Or maybe Jay, maybe Sharon, maybe they went for a walk down Ciela on a regular basis and stopped here, and there was a special moment for them or something. I don't know, there has to be something about this plot.
Even the caretaker,
William Garrettson.
Yeah, I'm sure that he knew everybody in this. Everybody knew each other in this. It's a private drive. It's like, yeah, everybody knows each other. So I can see what Tom's saying.
Except for the fact that the neighbor next door to the Tate property hated them renting the house because she complained that they were always having parties. It was always loud. Part of the reason why she didn't call the cops is she said that I'd heard this before. I heard sounds and loud partying going on. I didn't want to get involved. And by the way, let me just say this. Besides the Tate victims visiting the house, this house has been deemed the Mount Everest of haunted houses and the Disneyland for the dead by Dr. Barry Taff, a famous world-renowned parapsychologist, who said that there are more than just the 5 victims that visit the house. I said, what do you mean? He goes, your house is an active hotspot. There's so much energy here. It's like a light in the middle of the darkness is a beacon for insects to come and attract to that light, is the same methodology that the spirits are attracted to the energy here. So they're coming in and leaving. And that was also told to me by Lisa Williams, the famous English psychic, and Marianne Winkowski, the real-life ghost whisperer, who said, your house is like a revolving door. I can clear the house out, but in 5 minutes, she said, your house will have a whole new set of spirits in there. And I'm like going, she goes, you don't, and she goes, well, you don't have a problem with it, do you? And I was like, no, not really. I don't really mind it at all. She goes, well, that's okay, because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. I'm going, okay, so I'm screwed either way. I'm just going to deal with it. And that's how I react to it.
I live by that. Be a moth, chase the light. It's my motto.
Told you.
I'm like, I tend to be stunned, but I'm like going, to hear that out of him? That's like Taoism behind the wheel. I'm going, hey, you are a surprisingly deep character, Kato. I have to admit, I'm really impressed and pleased that I actually made your acquaintance. And I just want people to know, he's a good guy. He's talented too. You guys got to give him a little credit. Besides the shtick and the story of what he did, he's fucking funny. Oh, yeah. I can see him doing a reality show or even a scripted show because he's got talent.
Oh,
you guys got to cut him
he's
some
done
slack.
it, man. Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother, he was the man, for sure.
Like I said, somewhere he can show his creativity and his talent, not just...
Hey, do you guys think this is paranormal, Kato,
What?
David? Kato's shoes, your shirt, and my shirt look like we were set up by a wardrobe department.
Christ.
Look at his shoes, my shirt, and your shirt.
Oh my God!
And you have ghosts on yours.
I got ghosts on mine.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we do. I see a TV show in this connection. I just see a funny show.
Man.
I can see a scripted show. People go, forget ghosts. CBS. This is a funnier show because they're alive and they deal with ghosts in a different attitude and way. Jeez,
We're going to take a tour of the house. David's going to walk Kato and I through here coming up in a little bit. We're going to walk. We're going to show you this amazing home. There's corners of this place that you just pop out of nowhere, and there's different spots where you get different feelings. And I'm even mesmerized by the fact that your last name is Oman, because I felt like I had an omen, E instead of an A, in this house when I visited the first time yesterday that I can't escape. I think it's so bizarre. And Kato, they had the filming crew for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood out here, right? So
2 days.
Any Brad Pitt, any Leo sightings out there?
Brad, yeah, I saw Brad plenty of times, and I saw Brad turn the Carmen Ghia or drive up the driveway with the camera rig and just clip the neighbor's driveway's wall. And it was like, and I have footage of Brad and the Carmen Ghia when they were having to turn it around and manually get 2 guys in the front of the car and 1 guy in the back to maneuver the car. I said, what's that, Quentin? And Quentin says, yeah, the car's got terrible transmission and terrible brakes. And I'm thinking, so you put Brad Pitt in that car with a terrible transmission. What could possibly go wrong?
And this hill, if a car with no brakes goes out, is that true? So they have to pick the car up to move it?
They literally had 1 guy in the back and 2 guys in the front pushing it, and the guy in the back stopping, and then Brad would turn the wheels and they'd push it. And I'm going, what the? He goes, this is the best we could get. I'm going, oh my God, I can't imagine if the insurance for the movie knew this, going to say, you're not putting Brad in that car. Are you crazy? He gets hurt. You're on the fucking lead for that one, kid.
You have footage of that?
Turning the car around. I sold it to TMZ because they got wind of it. We want that security camera footage. It's like,
plus, Kato, we're going to go look at the scratch. We'll see.
We're going to look at the scratch. Yes.
Yeah.
And Brad, if you're watching this, don't feel harsh. Don't take it out on me that I'm telling a story of something that you're not happy with.
When we walked through here yesterday, David, you pointed out different parts of the house where things happen, and you have documented proof with the video camera. 22 video cameras around here. It's going to capture everything. Describe maybe the couple, 2, 3 most bizarre that just don't make sense to you until you see the video and you actually see it that it happened.
Well, one of them, as I mentioned to you, as I showed Kato, was the 10-pound piece of butcher block that's in the earthen wall room. And let me explain to you when you see the footage. I didn't go out of my way to make a room that's dirt. The fact is my father, during construction of the house, wanted to turn the 3rd floor into an apartment. And he says, we're going to turn this area in here, the earthen wall room, which is now a kitchenette, into a kitchenette, and it'll service this floor. And I said, I'm not getting a roommate in this house and turning the 3rd floor into a useless space for somebody to rent. I said, I created a theater room there. And he says, well, if you want me to finish this kitchenette, you know, it's going to be $25,000 and you're going to be on the line for it down the road after the house is built. And I'm going to leave it like this, basically to force me into the position of, all right, Dad, I'm going to acquiesce. And I said, I don't mind the dirt. He goes, it looks like crap. I said, leave it alone. We left it alone. It turns out that there's more activity in that room. And then we'll show you the video clip of this 10-pound piece of butcher block spinning off of a television set and onto the ground on its own. Unbelievable.
I like the one you told me yesterday too, because you've got a little wine rack downstairs.
Oh, right. In the same room, we have a wine rack. And there's a video of a bottle of wine coming out of the rack and falling onto the ground on its own.
And I actually was downstairs in the guest room, I think you called it.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, David, I believe a ghost peed. And you said, no, that was my dog. So that part threw me, because I had no idea ghosts could pee. Dave, what are you doing?
I didn't think that was going to make it to the show, but okay. I feel embarrassed. Reggie, I feel bad for you too for what you did, because you did it.
This is a 3-level house, and there's a common stairwell over here that spirals around. It's cool. Reggie, who's been your dog here, lived in this home for many, many years.
Yes.
Will refuse to go to the bottom level. And you said he's never done it once.
Never
and
once.
He navigates with ease from this floor, the top floor, to the middle floor. But and that's where the theater room is. I mean, it'd be a comfortable place to hang out. Why do you think he's afraid to go down there?
I don't know, but it goes even further than that. It's not just inside the house. When I've taken him on the side staircase going down, he will not take one step down below the 2nd floor. I don't know what it is. It's very strange.
All 12 years you've had?
All 12 years. To this day, I've had him on a harness. I've tried to drag him down the stairs. He will not. He will fight tooth and nail to not.
I believe it. I believe dogs have.
He senses it, yeah.
I mean, you think there'd be a random time where you go fetch something down there, or throw a ball. You
could put down a plate of food at the bottom of the stairs, and this dog is food motivated.
Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't set.
And your dad was obviously ahead of his time, because he's thinking back then of Airbnb before Airbnb by getting an apartment. Am I right?
He wasn't thinking. He was thinking of a way to make the house make money on itself to pay the mortgage. I'm like, Dad, I'm not turning, because the reason is as you notice in that 3rd level, the bedroom's on the one side, and the other room, as you come into it, is got a 220-inch projector. I had the wires. I did the wiring myself to have the speakers, surround sound built in, and put in the cameras, the projector there. So that's all hidden. I'm like, Dad, I'm not building a theater room for a goddamn tenant. This is a screening room. He's like, no, we're going to make this in an apartment. You're going to make money. I was like, no. And here's the other kicker. This is what was in the back of my mind, I have to admit. To have a tenant live in a house that's on an infamous driveway where some years earlier, a terrible tragedy befell 5 people, 6, the unborn child of Sharon, were killed. What are the odds that somebody is going to be a fascinated, over-obsessed individual with the Manson murders and say, I'm going to rent a room in the house out, and then I'm going to commit murders that are just like that, and I'm going to go down in history as the most infamous, and I'm going, Dad, and I tried to explain that to him, and he would have none of that. And yet, now we are in the 56th year since the anniversary, and I'm even more concerned about turn the house into an Airbnb. And it's like, why? I've had people Yeah, here's a story for you guys. I had some people 10 years ago that want to rent the house out for a birthday. And it's like, Ryan, how many people? It's 15 of us. That's a great thing. They rent the house out. And I'll never forget, they came in and I'm like, there's a weird vibe about these people. Everything that they had for the party favors, the tablecloth, the plastic spoons, the plastic plates, the napkins were all black. And I'm like, later in the evening, they're playing music, and I'm listening to the music from up here. I'm going, and my eyes start to pop, and I start hearing voices in my head saying, this is not good. I'm like, I go downstairs, and on the big screen is this movie playing called Manson. It's a documentary that was shot in 1971 with a reporter that embedded himself with the Manson family at Spahn Ranch and videotaped recorded for 6 months interviews with them. And they're then playing Manson's songs that were recorded by Charles Manson in jail. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm listening to Manson. And I'm thinking to myself, the spirits are going to crap all over me and they're going to kill these people because how gosh darn disrespectful. Turns out these people were Manson devotees. I call them Mansonites. Wow. And they were really interested in the Manson murders and stuff. And I was like, holy crap. And that's why he had his birthday here. And it was like trying to conjure. They had black candles. I'll never forget. They had tapered candles that were black. And on the birthday cake, it was like 12 black candles. I'm like, what's that? He goes, it's our birthday cake that we're having. Going, and I was like going, please, spirits, please, please, don't crucify me, don't kill me, don't hurt me. I had no idea this was their thing. I didn't know. I don't want to do that to you. I would never. Yeah. But that was the strangest thing in my entire life that I've ever had.
And 15 people forgot to bring a knife for the cake. So
Jesus,
he mentioned something about if someone move into a house and someone's going to move in a house and become a killer.
Yeah.
Actually, it goes back even that the house could be the one to convince someone to kill, like the Amityville Horror. The Amityville house was supposedly a real story about the man who said the house told him to kill his family.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so much paranormal activities, all in different witches in Salem to here with the Cello Drive with the Manson followers, Sharon Tate. So, I mean, people, something can push someone to go insane.
Yeah,
exactly.
And David, I want to hear from you in the next couple of days because when we leave the house eventually, if we do, Kato might stay permanently. But when we leave,
that's a new show.
I want because Kato brings a different energy and a different spirit, and
it's a good energy.
It's a great energy.
I'll be honest, but he's fine. I'm here to tell you, this kid's good. He's kosher. You can't push this kid anywhere. Take him for what he's worth. He's good. He's not the greatest, but look, who the fuck is, okay? He's got the chops. Give him a shot.
This is just great. I'm never going to forget you, Steve.
No, but my point is it's going to be interesting to see if you're getting any different messages, like maybe the spirits have more activity softened up a little bit. Here's what I think we're going to do. We're going to go take a tour. I want to show everybody this house. I want David to point these things out. There's all these portraits and images and pictures of Sharon Tate throughout the house. We're going to take in some of the nooks and crannies where some of this paranormal activity took place. We're going to go into the security room. We're going to put up all 22 cameras. He's going to show us some stuff. And then we're going to come back here and we're going to wrap up the show. Yeah. Okay? Hopefully we'll be back.
And that's amazing too, Tom, because I would imagine living here is also very tough because it's constant construction. It's like the house next door, the street. It's just, when we got here, it's just construction. It's like always something going on.
And with a very narrow road and one grumpy neighbor, by the way. Yeah. Anyway.
The ghost can't stay. That's what it is.
The ghosts were there, and she was so rude. The ghost moved over here. He said, "I can't take that anymore." All right, we're going to go do that tour. You guys ready?
Yes,
David.
I'm ready.
Okay, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up the show. So right after this break.
All right, David, this is it. Oh, the spiral staircases. Everything has got a little bit of a vibe to it. Where are we going to go first?
We're going to go down to the guest bedroom.
Oh, guest bedroom. Huh, Tom? Did you hear that?
Have you ever had one of those?
Oh, Jesus.
Look, Jim Morrison, you obviously are
Yeah, this is the Doors hallway. Oh, wow. All right.
Wow.
I have to say this right now. My head's feeling like I'm being, like a grape being squoze in the middle, right in my temple areas all of a sudden. Oh, wow. It's heavy. It's heavier than it was earlier this afternoon when we were in here. I'm like, really.
You feeling something, honestly?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, really. I don't, just like, I got to sit down for a second. My head's.
I got to tell you something, Tom. David, I feel not just, I feel like this should be my room.
How so is that? And you're scaring me with that statement, Kato. No offense.
Because I'm looking at this. You've got these pictures. Everything's the Pink Panther. And the Pink Panther sidekick was Kato. If that's not meant to be, Peter Sellers had a sidekick, Kato, and you're showing me this. And there's Clouseau.
There's Clouseau, Peter Sellers' character in cartoonophagy.
Not now, Kato. Is this not meant to be?
Well, not only that, but Bruce, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bruce Lee character is Kato, or when they reference, not in the movie, but they reference that, in that movie that he was in, because they needed to find, a kung fu teacher and whatnot, that there was a Kato. But seriously, Kato, I never thought of this.
I mean, well, the difference is Bruce Lee was Kato, Kato, which is me. And Kato, Bruce Kwan, who played the role of Kato, was Cato. And a little history about Bruce Kwan. He's an actor who never had lines. He was in the first Goldfinger film. He's also in Kiss of the Dragon, with Jet Li film. And then he became probably one of the most sought after Asian actors.
David, okay, you just mentioned that you had a little bit more of a heavy feeling or bizarre feeling walking around. We could see it. You had to sit down. Well, how do you put this together? I mean, Kato sees the Kato character in the Pink Panther. And we're in a guest room of all places, right? I mean, does that play into, you think, maybe?
And not even joking, this is what's so bizarre is none of this was just
planned.
by chance.
No, this is the real way the room looks 24/7 for the past 20 years. I'm a big fan of the Pink Panther. I love his work. I mean, I love the cartoons, so I obviously collected them.
And Zeus, if you actually walk by in this window here, you'll see that we're at another level here. This house is there's construction going next door, that house next door, and then after that, that's the Sharon Tate.
At the end of the street is the Sharon Tate house. Yeah.
House at the end of the street, his film.
House at the end of the drive.
House at the end of the drive.
House at the end of the street was another feature film.
Zeus.
That one was sold though.
Yeah.
Thanks, I'm going to show Zeus something. Zeus, downtown LA, straight shot here. This is the canyon. A lot of famous people, celebrities live around here. Yeah, like Kato mentioned, around the corner is where the Tate and Polanski house was. And look up here, Zeus, on the top.
That's Dr. Phil's house.
Dr. Phil.
And then to the right is what's left of Rudolph Valentino's house over there. Wow. That's Falcon Lair, what's left of it. And that's almost 100 years old. Next year it'll be 100 years old.
And actually, a lot of these houses were in the film The Great Gatsby, which DiCaprio was in.
Yeah. And
all that. So you see this, as soon as you can see the pool right here.
Oh yeah, that was Richard Anderson's house, of the $6 Million Man, Oscar Goldman's house.
Oscar Goldman's
He passed away a few years ago. Was a great neighbor. I really miss him.
And look, you can see that car going down.
Yeah.
Cielo. I mean, that would be the escape.
Yeah.
The night of 1969 where the murderers left.
That's where they shot. As a matter of fact, Once Upon a Time was shot on the street. He put street lamps all the way up to the driveway and put the Manson family car right on the spot where the family car was when they committed the murders 56 years ago. It was eerie when they were shooting that. I was like, that's the car. He goes, oh yeah, we could have gotten the original car, but we decided to get a close look-alike, not the actual car.
And what's bizarre is that I'm actually afraid of heights, and I'm leaving. I'm not.
No wonder you were looking out. I said,
yeah, I get a little bit.
I could feel that.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who used to live in La Habra Heights.
Oh wow!
And I told him I lived in Afraid of Heights, which is kind of true.
You are a wit, Kato. I will give you credit. You are one sharp wit.
Look at that one,
Sam.
That was Sam. A black cat.
You're on camera.
Is that not just?
What's a haunted house without a black cat? Look
at this.
Got to.
I think
that's a cat. That is another cat. That is not sleeping. That's not a hemorrhoid, and that's not some kind of.
Is there a cat under there?
There's a cat under there, for real. I kid you not. You can touch it and you'll see it moves. Watch. Go put your hand on it. Well, it didn't move. Is that dead? Are you a dead cat? Domino. Hi, Dom. Hello.
There it is.
That's Domino. Yeah, she's hiding out. She doesn't want to be bothered. It's okay, sweetheart. We're leaving you alone.
Let's talk about that. It looks like smothered chicken.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, Zeus, you keep shooting this amazing paraphernalia, the memorabilia, everything that David has. David, let's go downstairs.
Let's go to the third floor.
Let's show where some of these paranormal activities that have happened here that we referenced.
David,
follow us.
While we're doing the walking down, you talk.
Yes.
So what is? You're fascinated with Jim Morrison?
I'm a huge Doors fan. Was a big fan before he died.
That's over Laurel Canyon. That was close to the Wonderland.
That's right.
Murders and. Morrison has a seance, and I think seance is just something you should have here during Houdini's birthday.
Oh yeah, that would be a thought.
Okay, so this is the man cave, the theater room. And by the way, let me tell everybody that David went to USC. He's a graduate of the University of Southern California, but that doesn't match the decor in here. He is a UCLA fan. We're going to show you. I was blown away. I looked at this as an omen for some things that I'm dealing with right now. When I came here the other day, David, I can't believe this. But this is where you show you screen your film, obviously down here.
Yes.
All this UCLA memorabilia is absolutely insane. And now, Kato, we're going to show you, David, let's go where the wine bottle moved.
The earthen wall room.
Okay.
Are you guys feeling anything? Because I'm getting a little lightheaded just when we came down the stairs into this room. I can feel it like shift. Different than the guest bedroom.
But I was mentioning, I feel like the deeper down we go, it's like the breathing gets a little bit harder. I don't know if it's the cooler breathing. Temperature, but like you mentioned that story about the carpenter with the cold breeze. What's happening in this?
Happened right where Jesus is sitting right now is where the voice was heard and where the ice whizzed across the back of his neck. I'm telling you, you guys brought the spirits out today. This place is lit up like a Roman candle on 4th of July. It's so hot.
Just for a way to describe it, because I was here yesterday and I felt it. I feel it more today. There's certain areas of this house where you walk. Yeah. And the way I would describe it is you feel like it's harder to breathe. There's more pressure like in your lungs, and it almost feels like you're in altitude. That's how I feel sometimes. Like you can't get a breath. Like you labor with your breathing. Yeah. And it kind of comes and goes in some of these bigger spaces, but you have other spaces where it's just there, where you're walking and you go, why am I winded? This is really weird. Zeus, come over here and show this. This is absolutely incredible. All this UCLA paraphernalia. Obviously, you're a Bruins fan. Now, these are all signed, too.
All signed.
How many football helmets are there?
The mini helmets, there's 280 mini helmets signed. There's 80 signed footballs. There's 20 football full-size helmets.
Okay.
And there was, as of a few days ago, 7 of the 11 national championship signed team balls.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 names that if you have signatures to them, I'll mention famous UCLA alum.
Okay.
Ready? For football, Troy Aikman.
Yes, twice, couple times, yes.
What is that worth right now? That's kind of
I didn't buy it. I never bought it as an investment.
Basketball, Sidney Wicks.
Sydney's up there. Well, Sydney just got sold. He was on the 68-69 team. It was up there. It was sold.
Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor was also part of the 68-69 team that I just sold.
One that I have got to mention for basketball is John Wooden.
Yeah, of course. Well, there's a John Wooden signed jersey. There's 2 UCLA programs from basketball games that are signed by Coach Wooden. Again, that was because he was always at the games and it was easy to approach and get him to sign stuff. And there's a signed Wooden ball with Jamal Wilkes and John Wooden's autograph on it. Yes.
Football, Freddie Mitchell.
Freddie Mitchell's up there as well.
I say that only because he broke my heart with the Packer game against Philadelphia.
Yes. I'm not familiar with the pros, but I do know who he was and how he destroyed the poor Packers fans' hearts with that game.
Tom, this is Tom's favorite room. As a matter of fact, Tom told me, Kato, you're going to love this room. He's wearing a jock and a cup.
Of course. TMI, man.
Well, I don't know how physical some of these spirits are.
He's just an athlete.
Low blows. Okay, we're going to move now to the hearth room. And we're
in ball room, yes.
We're going to go see where this wine bottle literally moved, which we have video proof of, and that board that David mentioned. So we're coming this way.
What the fuck was that? Did you hit that? What the fuck was that? Did you hit that? What the fuck was that? Did you hit that?
All right, I'm now going to show you guys the earthen wall room. I know this sounds strange, but this became a point of argument with my father. He wanted to turn this floor into an apartment, and I said no. So what you're about to see now is the finished room. Originally, it was storage space and looked like crap because my dad was forcing me into turning this into an apartment, which I did not acquiesce. So come with me into the Oman house earthen wall room.
So this is what I saw your dad was starting the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Come on in. Oh my!
Oh boy, it's heavy. Boy, is it!
This
heavy.
was going to be an apartment for someone.
Not this. This was the kitchenette.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Why is there dirt?
This is because the house is built on the hills, on the side of a hill. All of the homes that are in this area that are built on the side of a hill have this type of a situation. However, most people have the walls put around it to protect it from being visually exposed.
Well,
not in this house.
Immediately, I start thinking Richard Dreyfuss, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he's making the mud,
A volcano, right?
And then looks like it's a
An
temple.
altar. It's an altar to a Native American who supposedly, yes, show him respect.
This is why it's hard to build in the canyons. You got to work around things like
Yeah.
this. You know, you don't pull this out. Okay, this is the wine rack.
This is the wine
Show
rack.
this, and tell Kato and me what happened with the bottle of wine.
Well,
Tom was talking about the bottle of wine that was.
Yeah.
about 10 years ago, I had some people here in an investigation, and there was a couple of football players from high school football players who were here, and they were standing here, and all of a sudden, and I kid you not, a bottle of wine does this. Now, as you just saw, that's what happened in the video. When I came down here to disprove what happened, I said, wait a second, how far do you have to pull the bottle of wine out to get it to eject? Well, here's the scoop. You pull it out there, it stops. To get this to do what the movement in the video was, you have to pull it out. Look how much look how far I have to pull it to get it to do that. That's what didn't make sense. Also in this room, we have video footage of the piece of butcher block that's sitting there on top of the counter, spinning off on its own, not sliding down, but rotating off of the television set where it sat for 6 months on its own, and it was recorded.
And you have Japanese whiskey there.
Yes, it's a bottle of sake, old sake. This is probably about 50 years old.
These are all not open, right?
None opened, no. But like I said, this thing has got to be over 50, maybe 60 years old.
So it's
never been drank, and this came from my parents' house. And when they sold their house years ago, 20 years ago, I kept it.
You're never going to open that stuff anyways, right?
You could open it if it was a special occasion. I'd have no problem opening it up. It's meant to be opened. It's
rotten. No, it would be rotten or not.
I'll be honest with you. If you look at this.
Oh, it's got mold.
Well, no, look at the distance. It hasn't shrunk. All the other bottles of wine have lost about that much wine. This has lost literally maybe a quarter of an inch to an inch of wine.
It's a good thing those spirits are sober, or this would be tapped. All right, let's go to
Tom, these are actually different kinds of spirits.
We're going to the security room. We're going to show how David has 25 cameras mounted and recording 24/7 here. So we're going back upstairs.
Before we go out back upstairs, here's that wooden block.
Yeah, show the
we got to
buttons,
start that again, and we got to move this now because Zeus has to go. So
Okay, got it.
we got to
Let's go.
show this quick, and then let's go show the videos.
Do you want me to show it, or you
Yeah.
want
Hey,
right.
do this, David.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, before we go upstairs, this is that block. And
Right,
just
okay.
make it really quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of the way.
Before we go upstairs, I just want to point out this is the 10-pound piece of butcher block, and you can see it is solid. It is nothing but solid. It's sitting here. You watch the video, it spins right off.
All right, so we are now in
The den.
the den right off the kitchen, and this is the big board, the big screen on the wall. 25 cameras fit into this, constantly recording. And David had mentioned something that happened last night in the early hours of actually today. David, when everybody knew that Kato and I were coming back today, so why don't you show us what transpired?
Sure.
We should have them listen for this one word.
Listen to what is said. I'm going to say something like, oh boy, again? And then you hear this woman's voice say, hush. It wasn't any of the 5 men that were in the room at the time. And here we go.
What? Aaron downstairs says you don't hold the lights down. I'm going to go down to start.
That, hush.
That was you could very audible.
Yeah, you
Definitely hear it.
could not miss that.
Oh my God. David, can you pull up where it just shows, can you show where it has all the feeds coming in?
There's the hush. Yeah, we're gonna go to the, this is great because David has all the camera set. You'll see how you can block it off and have different screens showing it.
David, you had mentioned that. That was way clearer and louder than I thought it was going to be.
Nuts.
Were you guys kind of freaked out when you heard that?
We didn't fit. Well, one of the guys said, I heard something. I heard a woman say something. That's what caused us to review the footage. Upon reviewing the footage, we were all dumbstruck because it was clear as a bell. And she said, hush. And it was apropos of me talking. That's what was so strange.
We'll let you get this next shot set up. Have you heard that particular voice before, that female voice?
I've heard a voice that's similar to that, saying words, other words and things in different times. But yes, I've heard that one before. Here is the camera system. Oh, let's go to main
This is
view.
so high tech. It's sort of like David. You can kind of see who's at the door, or who's climbing the walls, or anything. Look at that.
I mean,
And there we are, Tom and David and Zeus.
This is where we just came from. So this room's got 2 cameras in it. This is the staircase looking down the stairwell.
Oh, wow.
Everything. And the audio is incredible on these cameras. They pick up every single insignificant acoustic sound. It's nuts. And here, of course, is us.
Hey, by the way, David, as you do this, you might want to check the files later because Zeus, I think, took a bottle of that sake and the John Wooden jersey. So you might want to check inventory as well.
Terrible. You're vicious. You're just a vicious kid. I swear, or pernicious. Here, of course, is that room.
Yes, that's me right there.
There's us. The dog is sitting there squirrely as hell. Oh, here you go. So
Look at that.
just
That was a tight squeeze.
Yeah, well, if the guy could drive.
Of course, it's Tom has to show that he's in a Bronco.
Did that for you, Kato.
This is the earthen wall room. And again, I can show you, I'll send you guys the clips of the video of this bottle of wine coming out its own. And again, this is where the television camera captures this spinning off and falling to the ground there.
I got to hand it to David, Tom, that I would be freaking out. Even if the ghost is friendly, there's no way I could. I just would freak out. Yeah. I would have to go and probably stay at a Motel 6.
There we are.
Yeah, you probably just have to come to peace with the fact that this is your home. All right, this is awesome. Let's go back and wrap up the show on the bar stools. Well, I'm not sure what the spirits that inhabit this home thought of that, but that was one hell of a tour. David, you're an amazing host. Kato, you're Kato as usual. What'd you think, David, when we walked into the guest room with the one and only America's house guest, Kato Kaelin?
Do I have to answer this honestly?
Well, you're the one that asked me, what do I feel here? I said, I feel I belong in this room. It was meant for me. And you're going, why do you say that? I said, because I see, as I told you in the room, there's pictures of the Pink Panther. Who's the Pink Panther sidekick of Peter Sellers? Kato. I'm moving in.
You fool.
You can't make that up.
No.
Yeah.
Not planned.
And as entertaining as this has been, David, you're a historian as well, right? And I love the photos you have literally the next day after the murders. You've got overhead shots from police helicopters, LAPD or the sheriffs, whoever were here. We'll drop some of those up here too. We'll put them on our community page. But man, see, I'm a history guy. I'm a pop culture, news, current event type dude. And that's why that part of the story just fascinates me as well. And I think this would be a much more eerie place, Cielo Drive, if you didn't exist, if you didn't have this house, if you weren't as welcoming as you are. Because, Kato, we were here yesterday when I was here. These 2 girls from London, one's a singer looking to get signed by Disney, really nice girl, and they just wanted to come in. They wanted to come in the house, but they didn't want David to shut the door. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
We want to feel safe. I go, you're good, you're good.
The second you walked out the door, they ran out of us. We're not going to be here alone. We're scared. They fled.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. That was funny. You missed. We didn't even tell you about that.
Yeah.
We were talking, and I was showing the cameras, and I noticed. I said, wait a second. I said, I see 2 people walking down the driveway from the tape. I said, I got to do this. And it was like I ran out, and it was almost because you were here, but also in general, I am always fascinated by figuring out what is it that motivates people to come up here, to walk up the driveway, to look at the Tate Gate, which doesn't even exist. And I'm just so curious and fascinated. It was great, and that's how that all unfolded. But that's part and parcel for my craziness in my life. When I'm guided to interact with somebody, it's like, what the fuck? Like with you and with Kato, it's like, this has been the most enjoyable, fun 24 hours since you were here.
Wow, thank
I'm telling you, it's so great.
Yeah.
You guys are terrific. You guys are he's a crack up. I'm sorry. He's fucking funnier than hell. I'm like when I think I met a match, and this guy.
By the way, how many cameras do you have mounted in the whole entire
in the house? There's 25, and there's 5, including the garage outside.
And they're constantly on, right? So you go to your computer if you need to How do you check in on?
When something happens, and this is what it is nowadays, I don't sit there and spend hours every day going, it wore out really quickly after the first couple of months of doing that, and I wasn't getting any sleep. So now it's when something is heard, or something is missing, or something has been moved. And I mean, objects literally get physically moved from one room to another, and I'm like going, I gotta see what the hell happened. I'm watching the video going, okay, I have no explanation for it, but it's recorded, so I have the evidence of it. So that's how I treat it now. I don't sit there and worry about it. When it happens, it's like, okay, do your thing. If you want me to know something's happening, give me a sign. I'm supposed to pay attention. Then I review and I go on, okay, that was good. That was really good. Thank you. And I don't react like, I'm always allowing my curiosity to override the fear, so then going, wow, that's nuts.
Tell you what, because this would be great. Maybe you'll join us in August.
Oh yes. Oh damn right. Yes.
Oh, on the anniversary? Yeah, on the anniversary. Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Kato, the anniversary. You never know what we might stir up in here. Yeah, no, this is gonna be great. You know, this is David's book. I'm gonna flash it up here. The link for this is gonna be in the notes. Ghost of Cielo Drive: The Afterlife of Sharon Tate and the Spirits of the Oman House. Of course, his movie House at the End of the Drive. We'll have the links for that. Kato, you can figure out your last question to David. And David, I always tell people that meet Kato for the first time who feel they know him from watching him for 30 years. If you got anything you want to ask him, we're going to get to that too. But let me ask you this one question, because we're always mindful to make this about also, the victims, right?
Right, of course.
And that's what this is all about. What is the feeling that you're getting from whatever the personalities in here, the spirits? Do you think it's coming from a place not of horror and during the crime and the sheer panic and terror that was going on, or maybe just part of the spirit of a Jay Sebring, Sharon Tate, and it's Folgers and some of the other people that were involved in this horrific thing? I mean, it's not an eerie thing. Have you ever once been scared by what you've seen or heard?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, how should we say it? I've been unfurled by incidents. But again, people say, how do you live? I said, well, look, having an emotional response to something is automatically normal. It's how long you spend in that moment of fear that allows you to either overcome it or to fall into it and fall into the despair and go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So yes, there's a video of me walking down the hallway at 1:45 in the morning. I'm in my shorts and a t-shirt. I'm doing laundry. I'm walking down the hallway right past my bedroom, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say anything. I said, spirits, I got you covered. And I throw my hand up in a gesture like, you're good. The next thing you hear is knock, knock. I'm standing there 5 feet from the stairwell, and I froze like, and I'm processing in my mind going, oh shit, oh my God. And I'm thinking, wait a second, why would a burglar knock, knock to say, I'm here? That's not gonna happen. I said, wait a second, that's not a burglar, you stupid idiot. That's a ghost acknowledging what I'm thinking when I threw up my hand saying, I got you covered, like acknowledging, okay, you're good. And I sat there and I said, oh crap, so the spirits, I said, wait a second. I'm thinking, I didn't say a word. I thought it. And at that point, I start going up the staircase, and you can hear me verbally saying, say, there is no such thing as a safe harbor. You got me there. I said, but that means that I don't have to speak. You can read my mind. That was the most unsettling. And then I started realizing, well, go figure. But I didn't allow myself to stay in that moment of for more than a minute. And I was like, that's okay. I deal with it all the time. And that's how I process it.
Sure.
So yes, you get scared momentarily. The reaction is, oh my God, that startled. There's the word, startled me, not scared. But then it's like, oh, I know what it is. It's okay. And then you go back to normal. Most people are like, it happened. You're going to fucking live your life on that one moment forever? Get on with your life and forget about it. It's not hurting you.
Yeah. Any final words, Kato?
I had the best time of my life. This is great.
Hey,
I had the best time of my life, meeting you two. You guys are a class act.
Well, it's been a pleasure, David.
You're good.
And I move fast when I set up episodes and we make content. So thanks for letting us make this happen.
Thank you.
48 hours from the first call. A month with Kato living in the guest room. I think that could be some great material. Dr. Phil lives up there.
You. Yeah. Says him.
Your buddy Dr.
Me?
Phil lives
I have to
straight
live
up
with
there.
Kato? Oh, God, help us.
The sequel's going to be right. Guest house at the end of the drive.
Have a great one.
And on that note, make sure you go back and you check out the tours of the Manson killings. We were here, but this trumps that. But if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the backstory. I don't think I could say more emphatically the one and only David Oman, the one and only Kato Kaelin, who might be housemates. You never know if I can
You
make
don't
it happen.
know, it could happen.
Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Make sure you listen to our audio podcast. Follow us on social media. We're going to drop a lot of other stuff that we haven't seen on this episode because David's got so much crap in here. It's unbelievable. When I say crap, I mean that in a very lovingly way.
Thank you.
All
I'm
right?
a crap collector.
2 episodes a week. Make sure you follow us and subscribe if you haven't. And we will see you very, very soon.